What's up everyone, it's Ojh&x. We're back at it again inside of Raid Shadow Legends, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about all of the stats within the game and actually what they mean so that we can make sure we've got the right stats on the right champions. Now there will be a follow-up video to this which will talk about stat priorities for your champion type, whether they're an attacker or support, but in this one I just want to explain what the stats are, what they mean and how they actually impact the gameplay. So without any more ado, we'll hop straight into it, and a shout out to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. So we're here, we're on my free-to-play account, which I'll be doing a little bit more, and before we jump into it, let's have a look, because actually there's a little bit of an event going on here. There's a new player surprise, 2 times boosted. So let's pull this Void Shard then. Also we've got a progressive chance to pull this absolute unit here, Sulfurion, who, if we look at this, turn meter, a bit of turn meter action, HP burn, shield, nice, and a reviver. So we'll definitely, that would be an absolute result. Let's have a look here. Let's summon this, see what happens before we get going. And then we'll hop right into it. What? Standard stuff. What on earth is that? I am on the free-to-play account at the moment, and my first legendary is Elanaril. Now, if you are looking at making a new Raid Shadow Legends account, then you can use my download link, or scan the QR code on the screen right now, and that will give you Elanaril as your starting legendary. Once you hit level 15, you will unlock the support epic Uugo. Also, if you use the promo code Desert Queen, you will unlock Ojh&x. Absolutely awesome. Love Ojh&x, so you'll have 2 legendaries on your account like immediately. And if you do that before October the 30th, then there is the Michelangelo event going on at the moment, phase 1 here. Log in for 7 days and you'll get Michelangelo as well. So you'll have 3 legendaries on your account within the first 7 days. So QR code or the link in the description. Let's get going. Okay, so we can look at any of the champions in the roster then. In the bottom right hand corner, we've got all of these stats. Now, if we click the total stats, this gives us a bit more or a lot more of a breakdown of the certain things that are building up the stats. With the total of the stats down the right hand side here, then we've got the basic stats and how our artifacts, how our gear and other masteries and such is affecting this. But like I say, don't worry about this, don't worry about the gear that we've got on at the moment, because I've just been running through the challenges on this new account. So first stat then we'll look at is HP. HP, purely and simply, health points, hit points, the amount of health that your champion has got. Obviously, if you increase the HP or the health points of your champion, then they're going to become more tanky. They're going to be able to, absorb more damage. But there are more things that come into play when it comes down to how tanky your champion is. But HP is going to be one of those things. The next thing to look at then will be ATK, or the attack stat. And the attack stat is the amount of damage that your champion will do. Now, one thing to note is that not all champions' attack is based off their damage. So, for example, if I do go to Ojh&x over here, easy for me to say, and click on her A1, for example, is that actually her damage is based on her defensive stat. So any attack stat that you were to put on Ojh&x would not actually increase the amount of damage that she does. However, the vast majority of damage output in the game is going to be based on the attack stat, but the attack stat doesn't tell the entire story, because we also have things like the crit rate and the crit damage percentage, which I'll come into a moment. But just let it be known that as a general rule of thumb is that the attack stat is going to mean the amount of damage that your champion does, and therefore increasing the attack stat will mean that your champion will do more damage. Next up then, we've got def, or the defense stat, and that talks about how much damage will be mitigated by your champion. Obviously, the higher the defense stat, the more damage that is mitigated, and that in conjunction with a large HP pool will give you the overall tankiness. What you may find is that there are some champions who don't have a particularly large health pool, but they're still incredibly tanky just because they have such a massive defensive stat. SPD, or speed then, is the most important stat in the game in my opinion, and that's for a number of reasons. Firstly is that the fastest champion in the arena will be the champion to attack first, and that can be the difference between winning and losing. Next up, the speed stat will determine how quickly your turn meter regenerates. So obviously, the higher your speed stat is, the faster your turn meter will generate, and therefore over the course of a battle, you will have more goes, which inevitably will increase the damage output by your champion, or their overall effectiveness if they're in a support role. Next up then is the C rate, which is the critical rate. This is in terms of a percentage. So if, for example, you've got an 80% critical rate, then that means there is an 80% chance that your champion's attacks will land as a critical strike, which does even more damage. So that brings us on then nicely to C damage, being critical damage, and that is also shown as a percentage. So for example, let's say that you've got a critical damage rating of 80%. A normal attack is 100% damage, and if it lands as a critical strike, then you will do 180% damage on that. So naturally, the higher that we can get our critical damage figure, the more damage we will be doing. And then if we combine that with the increased probability from the crit rating, that we'll be doing more critical attacks, and those critical attacks will be hitting even harder. So res, or resist, is essentially your champion's ability to resist a debuff being placed on them. Now, this isn't shown in terms of percentages, but the higher resist rating that you've got, the more likely the champion is to be able to resist a debuff going onto them. Conversely then, ACC, or accuracy, is you trying to apply that debuff to an enemy champion. The way to look at resistance and accuracy is that they're all to do with debuffs. Resistance being your champion's ability to resist the debuff being placed, and accuracy being your champion's ability to place that debuff in the first place. So as I said at the start of the video then, this will be the first of a two-parter. In the next one, I will cover the stat priorities for the different types of champions in the game, like I say, whether they are maybe attack or support or HP, and there's a couple of variations within all of those as well. If this video has helped you, please give it a like, get yourself subscribed if you're not, to not miss out on any Raid Shadow Legends content. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next one.